up, everybody? My name's Serge, and that's Jason. We're the Buzz Hive guys. I've never
That's
said that
us.
before, but it's a thing. And we jumped on last week and talked about how important it was to be active during this coronavirus lockdown and quarantine, or whatever you want to call it. And this week we planned to do all this content, and we were super busy, and we didn't have enough time to do all of that. But we did want to jump on and talk about just the very, very essential must-have or must-adhere to things that your website should have or adhere to. Because a lot of people think of websites as like, I want this website to look cool and function cool and have all these cool bells and whistles. I said cool way too many times. But
Cool is
people
important.
think cool is very important because, that's what makes your business run. But those things are very important. Design, user friendliness, functionality, all of those things are important. But there are some certain things that your website needs to have in this day and age. So your website is either healthy or you don't get into any kind of legal or just user issues that people might have with your site. I'll go over the first two, and then Jason will jump on and hit the second two.
Can I
The
say
first
something
one I want
before
to
you get into those?
Sorry,
The whole point.
we're going, dude. We're going today.
The whole point of having a website is that you want people to come to your website. You want people to interact with your website. But people aren't going to just come to your website, just by magic. We want the search engines to bring them into your website, which is what we do. But they're not going to do that if you have a lot of the things that we're talking about broken or missing or anything like that. Your website is not going to look pleasing to the search engines to want to give it to people. Google, their ultimate goal is to give good quality, unique content to people. They want to give the best possible search result they can. If you're missing the things that we're talking about today, you're not going to be the best result. So that's why it's important.
Yeah, you'll have issues with that. You'll have issues with search engine optimization with a variety of things. So first one I wanted to go over is mobile optimization. It's shocking to me that in this day and age where everything is on your phone or a watch or a tablet, that people don't pay attention to this and have websites that are not mobile responsive. That means that, yes, a website that is not mobile responsive will still open on a phone or a tablet, but the website that's on a desktop will just get shrunken down. It will not adjust things to the vertical versus horizontal landscape. That is really important because search engines kind of dock you points for that. And people that are trying to use your site, let's say I go on someone's website, I want to buy something, but their buttons are this big now versus a normal button that would be on a phone or a picture or product description. I have to zoom in. I'm not going to, personally, I won't use that site. I'll wait till I use it on a desktop, or I'll find another site that's more responsive. Because to me, that says they don't know, they're not up to speed, they're not up to date. I don't know if I want to use their product. Again, it depends on the product, it depends on the website, but it's a big turnoff for me personally, but for a variety of people. And majority of websites are viewed on a mobile device. It's definitely proven. Statistics are there, the numbers are there. Majority of people are looking at websites or using web on their tablet or their phone.
Yeah, we've also noticed that in a lot of paid campaigns, that's one of the biggest deterrence or a reason that your ad wouldn't perform well is if someone's searching on their phone and they go to a mobile site, but the site isn't mobile friendly and it's a bad experience, they're going to leave right away, meaning you have a high bounce rate, meaning the search engines think that ad doesn't fit anyone because people keep leaving. So you definitely don't want to be throwing your money at a site that is not mobile responsive, and that happens a lot.
Yes. Speaking of search and marketing, the other thing that is really important is to make sure that your on-site SEO is optimized, meaning all your meta descriptions, all your titles, all your links on your website, everything is healthy. So the website is not broken in any way. It doesn't mean that your website doesn't work. It means like a link doesn't go anywhere or something about the link is broken. So those things are really important because, again, you get dock points for your on-site SEO not being correct or not being up to speed. again, it's not a big deal if you think about like I just want my website to look cool and show pictures. But if you're really trying to grow your website and grow your business online, those are must things to have and adjust on your website.
And they're the easiest things that you can do yourself on a website. If you've got access to your website, you can go in and change those descriptions. You can fix all those things that aren't working well. And it's not rocket science to fix those, but you need to know where to find them and know where to fix them.
All right, next two, Jason's going to cover. They're a little bit more in depth and more technical, but if you could not suffer through it, but listen through this part, it is very, very important in this day and age.
Yeah. Well, because the two I'm going to talk about are really legal issues, and they're things that people miss all the time. They're things that you're going to be familiar with, but you may not have been thinking about it with your website, and things you probably noticed, but you didn't think you needed it on your website because you just didn't think you needed it. Everyone needs these things. So the first thing is ADA compliance, Americans with Disabilities Act. There's some standards there that if your website is difficult for everyone or some people to use, one, that's a bad user experience, so that's not good. But two, there are laws in place that say your site needs to be accessible to everyone. And so we've got tools on the sites that we build that help make your website more accessible. There are things like allowing the site content to be read, or the fonts to become larger, the text to be different, change the contrast of everything on the site so that people can access all the content that you have. If your content is good, you need to make sure that people can consume it. The ADA compliance is kind of forcing you to make sure that everyone can consume your content. So it's actually helpful for you. But if someone is trying to access your site and find that they can't and feel like that is not a fair situation, you could get in some trouble with that. Serge, we had someone bring that up, right?
Yeah, we had a client of ours who is an attorney reach out to us and say, hey, I have a client of mine that got this letter that basically people are searching out non-ADA compliant websites and filing a suit against those websites. There have been famous people, famous artists, famous musicians, famous companies that did not have ADA compliant websites, and they got into legal problems. So now it's become a thing. Like I don't know if some of you have heard, but like there are people out there that seek out businesses like brick and mortar businesses that have non-ADA compliant facilities. You know, bathrooms or hallways or entryways or staircases, those kind of things. People are out there looking for those kind of businesses and then filing suits, winning those suits easily. And it's because it's really hard to prove that, oh, my business does not need to adhere to those things. So now that's spilling over into the online world, and it's a very easy fix to have that compliancy, but people are overlooking it, and some people are getting into legal problems.
Yeah,
with that.
I was going to read quickly the different kinds of organizations that need to adhere to this. This is what's listed out by the ADA, or the standards for the ADA. It says state and local government agencies need to be adhering to this, private employers with 15 or more employees, businesses that operate for the benefit of the public, and anyone using electronic and information technology. That's a website.
And that's everybody.
So that's everybody, right? So you need to, this is not like that's probably a good idea. I might need to look into that. You need to do that. This is not go ahead.
It's just better safe than sorry. It's very simple. It's a very easy fix, and it'll avoid any kind of problems. Instead of having to explain yourself in court, why not just fix it?
Yeah.
It's a click of a button, really.
Yeah. So then the last legal thing we're going to talk about is GDPR compliance. That is General Data Protection Regulation. You're going to be most familiar with this if you've ever heard of Facebook. They got under the microscope a couple of years ago because everyone in the world thought that Facebook was misusing information. What GDPR compliance, the General Data Protection Regulation, really does is it helps you be transparent with the people that are coming to your site. You want people to come to your site. You need to be tracking why they're coming to your site. If you are paying a marketing company to get people to your site, you need to know why they're coming there. You also need to know what the user's experience is like. So you need to track them through the website and see, hey, that seems to be working really well. Let's do more of that. Or, hey, that's not working well. Let's fix that. However, if you're tracking that information, you have to let people know. It's like when you get on a phone call and the robot says, this phone call is being recorded. That's when you get to a website.
Oh,
and
that's
it
your
says,
voice? I didn't know it was
that's
your
me.
voice
That was
saying
me.
that.
I did the movie
Cool.
phone one too. If anybody
Sweet.
when you go to a website and it says accept cookies, this is what you're doing. That is the GDPR compliance. You are agreeing to say, yes, I want to consume your website. Please track what I'm doing. Now, if you want more information on that website, there's going to be a link when you accept that to see the privacy policy, and they're going to tell you exactly what they're going to do with your information. 99.9% of websites are just going to tell you, hey, we're tracking you through Google Analytics because we want to know where you came from, we want to know what pages you're interested in, and we want to know what's working and what's not working so that your experience is better. Again, the whole thing is about transparency and also limiting websites from taking advantage of consumers. So that's a big piece of it as well, which is why Facebook was under the microscope for all that. They were trying to look out for the consumer. This shows people that you care about them. The same way, we didn't really talk about this, but if your site is secure, if you can access your site from HTTPS : / and then your URL, the S means it's secure. You don't have to have that. You don't have to have that on your website if it's just a general, like, I'm going to put information out here and I don't care about anyone giving me their information back. But anyone who's going to, if you have a form on your website, or definitely if you're trying to sell something on your website or anything else like that, your site has to be secure. Your website can be live without being secure, but if Google wants to give the best possible search result and you are neck and neck with somebody else who has identical information and your site is not secure and their site is secure, who do you think Google is going to send them to? The secure site.
It's the whole thing of, like, it's not necessarily like your website won't work. You're going to get dock points for it.
Right.
And some people, whether it's search engines or people, they're not going to use your website or use your services, or they're going to feel nervous or uncomfortable using your website. If it's not secure, because in this day and age, people are getting their identity stolen, their money stolen online, and people are afraid of that. And yes, rightfully so, it happens.
Yeah.
So why not give the people a peace of mind that's not going to happen on your website by having these very, very essential and very simple things to adhere to.
Yeah.
So if you are wondering about your site, if you're like, I don't know, how do I find this out? Or there's multiple things we mentioned. If you're interested and you want to know if your website is compliant to all these things, reach out to us. Send us a DM. Send us an email. There's a contact form on our website. I'll put the link to our website in the description
and it's secure.
Of this video. Man,
we also track your cookies, so make sure you press that button at the bottom to accept that.
Yeah. So we can check all those things for you and give you a rundown of all the things that you are either adhering to or not. The other thing is, for example, if you're looking for a website, we build websites, and all of our websites come with all of those things already built in. I'm not trying to sell anyone a new website, but if you're like, hey, none of my things none of these things apply to my website, and my website's outdated, you can also reach out to us and get information about how our website services work. So feel free to reach out. The checklist of things that you should be adhering to, we can check that for you for free. Absolutely no obligation. We check it for you, send you an email or a response back to your DM saying, hey, you adhere to these things, but not this thing. Completely free of charge. So let us know. Hope you like these videos. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel, and we'll see you next time.